Yeah. Understanding the challenges in terms of data volumes or data sizing in terms of before, let's say, 5 years or so, the data collection was a kind of almost at a minimum, almost at a measurable level. But nowadays, if you look at something like social media, something like healthcare, education, transportation, logistic, retail, the data collection have increased in multi-folds. So whatever we do in terms of data handling requires to have a special scientific approach, and that's what we're going to learn in our data analysis. So how to tackle big data, how to tackle the data which normally comes to you in a multi-folds of petabytes nowadays. Petabyte is basically, you have kilobytes, megabytes, terabytes, and then petabytes. Megabytes, 1 terabyte is 1000 megabytes, and petabyte is 1000 terabytes. And this way we keep getting multiple data even for a single person. If you look at the overall assessment of the IEEE, the Engineering Institute, International Engineering Institute, where they normally try to capture such deviations from a normality, and they clearly mention that each and every data, each and every person generates around 6 megabytes of data per month, 6 MB of data per month. Be it a smaller, person in, let's say, developing country like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Cambodia, Thailand, and all, or be it something like a kind of fully developed country like North America, like various other parts of the world where the data generation is at quite larger scale than these developed countries, because these countries, they use all these things like official apps, they use all their personal social app from the mobile. So it's really a kind of challenging to handle these data, or rather these type of data need to be analyzed, need to be processed in a step by step way, need to be understood why this data usage have gone so on a higher scale. And for that matter, we keep assessing, we keep building some data structure, we keep trying to understand our business solutions to handle all these data elements in a step by step progressive manner. Have you understood that? Anybody have any confusion on these, why there are more data analysis needed as of today? Anybody have any confusion here? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we are hearing you.
So you can understand, like why do we need to have these data analysts as of today, rather than few years down, few years before, we normally used to have just business analysts, and they used to do this thing. But if you look at typical data handling things, we normally need a business analyst in a step by step progressive manner. Okay, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I got it.
Yes, sir.
No problem. Now let's move on further in terms of how we tackle these things, in terms of how we're going to make some, head or tail out of these things, and how these, policies and processes are going to help us in terms of how to handle data. So what we do, we normally combine mathematics, technology, and business together and try to find a meaningful solution for the data at hand, or data which is basically coming to business. Be it something like a retail store like Walmart trying to collect data from all its user, be it a retail user, be it a local user, be it an online user, offline user, and so on and so forth. But nowadays, mostly all these strategies of Walmart in terms of retail, in terms of selling a specific item or maintaining a specific item on its shelf. This is what they call shelf life. So they do these decisions via these data analysis. So how do you do data analysis? You try to understand historical figure in terms of how much you know Christmas tree they have sold for a given region in the last Christmas. This time they'll bought some 10% more Christmas tree. So last year, if they have sold 60, this year they might bought 70, 72 Christmas trees, so that whenever the consumer comes, he or she might choose from different Christmas tree. And all those discounting, the addition to the tree, goes with it. So it's like kind of booming business for Christmas tree around Christmas. Okay, I'm just sharing an example with you. It's not Christmas now; we are in still October. So yes, but yeah, I'm trying to trying to convey you a means of building these strategies, building this proactive plan to help these retail customers, to help these retail giants to solve their stocking problem, to solve their inventory problem. Okay, have you understood this thing? The way store maintains their inventory with the help of historical data understanding.
Yes, sir. I got it.
No problem.
Yes, sir.
Let's move a step further. Now, last time we have just discussed, there's a big, buzzword, or there's a big, case study in terms of every management student nowadays does in terms of the data analysis, how it helped Walmart. Let's try to understand the situation there. In the Midwest, there were around I think 300 odd Walmart store, be it St. Louis, be it Chicago, Prairie, and all those Midwest states. They has to have these popsicles. Popsicle is like a candy with these toppings. You can see in the picture on the right hand side there are a pink popsicle, gray popsicle, yellow popsicles, and all those things. So what they used to do, they used to sell this popsicle, and these are famous for Midwestern region. This is what we call Bible Belt, and popsicle have some regional value. I believe it's closer to their religious ties as far as Christian goes. And when you try to basically enjoy Christmas, these popsicles, they used to distribute this popsicle among younger generation. Like if they visit some shop, even some house, they used to give these popsicles to this younger generation. The kids are, a kind of a sharing of blessings the way they feel it, right? Now, when this Christmas come, this popsicle used to sold out in couple of stores, and in couple of stores they used to just be stagnant there. Popsicle is highly perishable item. Highly in the sense, a popsicle can go wrong within couple of days. It has I think a wrapping over chocolate with some milk and all those things, right? So what Walmart did a kind of historical study for a couple of years wherever they have data for popsicle sell. So what they do in scenario of where the popsicles are getting sold um, in big quantities, they've started marketing popsicles a couple of weeks earlier, and with that they really boom their business. Means popsicle is a case study where we believe that Walmart turned around a loss making Walmart entity into a very profit making entities. And how they did it, they tried to study historical figure. They have captured the attention of user from various social media sites, be it a Facebook, Twitter, this side, that side, and they used to also even including YouTube and various other side basically. And that way, all these typically Christian or typically religious crowd, they got attached with Walmart that time. And this study is famous because they've almost tripled their sales just with the help of these popsicles. So if a store was making let's say 100K before Christmas, they've started making 400, 500K per week basis in terms of these Bible brand. And this study was really famous. This was the first case study where we tried to understand the retail boom, or try to take help of these singular items historical case study such as popsicle. Does that make sense to you? Anybody living in Bible Belt here, St. Louis and nearby area like Missouri and all those nearby states?
No, sir.
Anybody?
No, sir.
I was in St. Louis for 4.5 years, so I know. I was working for Enterprise Rent a Car. It was really great time there, and even Walmart was a kind of walking distance from my house. So I used to go to Walmart for all these time pass and all, and I've seen these things. The way the store turned around. There was a Walmart, there was a Sam's Club, and there was based not based by there was a Circuit City and couple of other stores. It was a group of stores there in St. Louis Maplewood area. So when Walmart started making these popsicles, Believe me, I can clearly see the customer more going to Walmart than Sam's Club, and so on and so forth. So like these, the data analysis do help these retail store owners in a big way, and that's why now almost all these retail stores have a wing or have a department of social media marketing, WhatsApp marketing, and all those things, and that's how they really helped out in terms of how data analysis is going to help them in long term planning, in terms of building stock, in terms of making profit on a particular item rather than try to sell each and everything around the globe. That's how Walmart started basically. They try to sell everything from a bicycle to nut bolt, to vegetables, to cake, instant cakes, to clothes and everything. Everything, whatever you can get, even including electronics like a TV, VCR, DVD player, whatnot. Well, VCR doesn't come nowadays, but yeah, all those things they try to sell it and make profit around it. Nowadays, they are heavily invested in data analyst, so you might get a job in Walmart as well. Just think it through how they have channeled their strategies through data analysis to make more and more profit, more and more sell in terms of with a given season, with a given historical trends and all those things. Okay, let's move on. Now there's another big study which all data scientists and data analysts study: Netflix. Have you everybody know Netflix? What is Netflix?
Yeah, Netflix is the
Yes, sir.
streaming channel. We can watch movies, web
Right.
series, this kind of stuff from there.
Very rightly said. Netflix, Amazon Video, and YouTube. You can see, you can watch online videos, the sitcoms, and quite a good amount of things on these. What you can say, social media streaming site. Okay, what do you mean by streaming? Yes, they normally have a server somewhere where they store this video and they sell this video to the subscribers. And let me tell you how they, Netflix have started. When Netflix started, for the first few months, it was hardly noticed by anybody. Even they've started marketing with the least possible team for around 6 months or so. Netflix was hardly few hundred users watching Netflix. Then the Netflix owners floated a challenge in a market: anybody can get our viewers to a million, will get $1 million. So then there were three scientists from a western region basically bid for these challenges, and they worked together to get the Netflix to a multi-million-dollar subscriber. How they did it? Well, they normally studied which area. They studied the older versions of media distribution like the cable TV, like any other local cable channels or regional cable channels. They also studied CBS and various other such content providing company on the television. And what they did, they basically came up with a model. Like for the Midwest, there's a more religious type of sitcoms they watch. Like for the eastern region, New York, Boston, and all these things, they want to watch a political serials, political sitcoms. Sitcom is the word we normally use in North America and Canada. So they want to watch mostly political serials. And if you look at the western part of the world, or rather, southern and western part of the world, they like to have family drama like sitcoms, like fight between the siblings, fight between the doctor and mother, father and son, and all those kind of stuff. So they've prepared this content and specifically marketed for these regions. And believe me, within couple of months, they've increased from few hundred to few million users. In 2016, it was 9 million subscriber all over the world. Now it's going down because of there are some certain challenges with these deliveries, and due to volume, they haven't able to keep up with the infrastructure, and some challenges there politically, even at the top management of Netflix right now. But still, it's one of the most prime content service provider or stream media provider across North America and Caribbean region. And how they've achieved this? Just with the help of data analysis, data science, in terms of They have automated the social media posting, marketing, automated in the sense at a given time there's a robotic program which normally post a content at such and such social media channel, be it something like Facebook, Twitter, and all those social media channels which are famous in a given region. For St. Louis, Facebook was one of the most prominent channel, and that's how they started. And they really gathered a good user base with these religious sitcoms, even basically planning this sitcom at a given time helped them quite a lot, and that's how they basically started doing a great business. Now it's a $1 billion company as well as Netflix go, which were really struggling few years ago, struggling in terms of getting more customer than 100 or 300K, something like that. So let me play you a good video to understand this thing in terms of how data analytics help these Netflix in terms of coming back, or basically gaining their business in a very longer way. Okay, viewers, today give me a minute, let me share this video and then we'll discuss more. Okay, give me a minute please. uh, 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 uh. Could you see Netflix data analysis case study on your screen?
Yes, sir. I can able to see that.
Let me play this thing. In this video, let's see the case study of Netflix, how they use the data analytics to overcome the challenges. For your better understanding, I have made this video with English subtitles. Before going to this video, I request you to subscribe to 5 Minutes Learning channel in YouTube to get the video updates on time, and please click the bell icon below so that you don't miss any videos from me. Now let's move to the case study. Netflix started its video streaming from the year 2007. They had understood the power of data and invested on data analytics. Their innovation was focused mainly on two things: data analytics and logistics. They reached 94 million subscribers by 2016 and 100 million by 2018. Its video streaming consumes 37% of downstream internet bandwidth during prime hours. They used analytics to know the customers, like what their customers watching, how much time do they spend watching, what content do they watch, location of the user, what time they watch the content, etc. All these data are captured by Netflix to know exactly what the user wants and what they have to do in order to retain the customer. The digital transformation in Netflix can be seen in two ways. One is technology, which deals with the massive use of new technology, and the second one is data analytics. Netflix spending is mainly on artificial intelligence to make content spending decisions. It shows that AI saves $1 billion every year. Netflix improves its algorithm and uses them to reduce the human intervention in programming decisions. Netflix operates its own CDN, which helps to save bandwidth cost content being accessed from the same region across multiple consumer groups. Netflix have backup of content on Google Cloud Storage. In case any mishandling of data, it can recover the data in hours. Netflix data analytics shows the company what the customer prefer watching, and it gives you the recommendation of the content for users to watch. One example is Netflix House of Cards, which started on the Feb 1st, 2013, was licensed by Netflix based on the data analysis done by Netflix. They have observed that viewers who liked House of Cards were fan of Kevin films and liked the movies directed by David Fincher. Netflix have algorithm to predict and understand the user preference, so they bet on licensing House of Cards, which turned to be accurate and brought them a huge success. Data analytics has made Netflix leader among its competitors. Netflix receives better advantage from data analytics among its competitors. Netflix does not believe in spending on the pilot episodes. Pilot episodes are the small episodes of the series of movies which are shown to viewers before it gets released, so that the company can determine the success rate of the show. But Netflix uses data analytics to determine the likelihood of the show's success. Thus, the success rate of Netflix shows
or 80%. Netflix provides customers with the personalized experience. It shows that 75% of Netflix viewing are driven by recommendation algorithm. Their use of data analytics to predict the success rate of the shows has helped them to reduce the cost on promotional advertisements and campaign budgets. Netflix invests in lots of algorithms to provide a flawless movie experience for its users. One of such algorithm is recommendation system, which is used to provide suggestions for its users. This system understands the need of the users and provides suggestion of the various cinematographic products based on their users' liking and preferences. A recommendation system takes the user's information as input, which can be in the form of past usage of product or ratings that were provided to the product. Then it processes this information to predict how much the user would rate or prefer the product. For this, it uses various machine learning algorithms. Another important role of recommendation system is to search for a similarity between different products, especially in case of beginner users. The Netflix will not have much of data available about the user to generate recommendation. So the recommendation system searches for movies that are similar to the movies that you have watched and provides recommendation of movies with similarities. There are two main types of recommendation system. One is content-based recommendation system, which in which the background knowledge of product and customer information are taken into consideration. Based on the content that you have viewed earlier in Netflix, it provides you with similar suggestion like same genre, etc. Second one is collaborative filtering recommendation system. It provides recommendation based on similar profile of users. One key advantage here is it is independent of the product knowledge. Rather, it relies on the users with the basic assumption that what the users like in the past will also like it in the future. Example, if a person A watches crime, sci-fi and thriller genre, and a person B watches sci-fi, thriller and action genres, the decision here is A will also like action and B will also like crime genres. Third type of recommendation system is the hybrid recommendation system. Netflix make use of this recommendation system, which is a combination of both content and collaborative technique in order to suggest content for its users. Let's see how the Netflix resolved its recommendation problem using data science. Back in 2006, when Netflix wanted to tap into the streaming market, it started off with a competition for movie rating prediction. It announced a prize of $1 million to whoever increased the accuracy of their existing platform, Cinematch, by 10%. At the end of the competition, the Belker team presented their solution and increased the accuracy of prediction by 10.06%. For this solution, they made use of k-nearest neighbor algorithm for post-processing of the data. Then they implemented the factorization model, which is popularly known as singular value decomposition, for providing an optimal dimensional embedding to its users. They also made use of restricted Boltzmann machine for enhancing the capability of the collaborative filtering model. A linear combination of these two algorithms reduced RMSE to 0.88. Even after this, Netflix faced two challenges. One, the data that is provided during the competition consists of only 100 million movie ratings against the 5 billion rating that Netflix consists of. Second, these algorithms were static, means they only deal with historical data and does not take into consideration the dynamicity of users adding review in real time. After Netflix overcome these challenges, it made the winning algorithm a part of its recommendation system. In this slide, let's see how Netflix improves the personalization experience for its users. Netflix uses ranking algorithms to provide a ranked list of movies and TV shows that appeal to its users. However, with the presence of various ranking algorithms, it is often difficult to accommodate all of them and test their performance simultaneously. Netflix decides to innovate its algorithmic process. So Netflix implemented the interleaving technique in order to speed up the experimental process to identify the best ranking algorithm. This technique is applied in two stages: to provide the best ranking page algorithm and also to provide the personalized recommendation to its users. Unlike the traditional A/B testing, where the two groups of viewers are exposed to the two ranking algorithm, Netflix make use of interleaving to blend the ranking of algorithm A and B. Thus, Netflix users are provided with enriched content using interleaving technique that is highly sensitive towards ranking the algorithm quality. Thank you, viewers. We'll see you.
This is really a bit of technical case studies, but I have kept it in terms of trying to understand where we want to reach. This is a kind of started as a data analysis study, and then it moved to a data science feature, because data science talk about these algorithms and all the thing. We're going to understand or brush up on this algorithm, but we are not going to do a programming. Okay, at the tail end of our data analysis, we're going to learn some statistical formula, like the said near k near k line kind of scenario, where we try to approximate the result in a way where we choose, if this is too costly, then choose the next one which is less costly and apply those things. So this way you normally tend to balance the spending with the applying strategy as came out of these data analysis study. Okay, and we're going to learn that thing in a step by step manner. Don't worry about the buzzwords as far as algorithm goes, the k9 and all those things. We're going to learn in terms of how we can apply it through a simple data analysis, like a kind of charting via Microsoft Excel. Does that make sense? Have you understood how Netflix basically gone from zero to hero, or do you need any more details on this? There are interviews where they ask, what do you think, which is one of the most turnaround time for data analysis or data scientists. Then this Walmart and Netflix study in North America basically gave a raise to a good workforce working on data analytics to start with, and then take this problem to the data scientists, which are going to explore it further and build some automated or artificial intelligence based system to tell you which is the sitcom, which type of movies these guys will prefer for a given region. And that's how Netflix is working currently. Does that make sense to you? Have you understood why these UK studies are important as far as understanding data analytics work? Could you hear me?
Yes, sir. Sir, I have a question. Actually, suppose if I want to go with the data analytics, I need
Hmm.
to take care of algorithms and remaining stuffs. But my career is going to do data analysis only, right? So we need to take care of all the algorithms because it's just for introduction. Just we have to know what the analytics going to do. That's the thing, right?
Sure. Let me tell you. Algorithm is not a big stuff. Algorithm is simply just study the history and apply it the best possible model to the relevant business execution, business strategy. This way, what we are doing, how he or she basically prefers things, and then how he or she will prefer in the near possible future, and let's try to align ourselves for a consumer. This is what the algorithm is, as simple as in English. In statistical language, you normally use the best nearest, you use the most economical, you use the most efficient, and so on, so type of words. And then you go to a level where we normally match a pattern with a statistical pattern called k9, k1, and statistically executable things. And these things basically labeled in some way in mathematician or statistical names. So don't worry about these big word called algorithms. We use algorithm on a daily basis. I talked about making a tea or making a coffee in the morning, right? So how do you use algorithm there? Like every time, let's say you got married, you shifted to your husband home, right? And there you want to make tea or coffee in the morning. Normally, be it husband or wife, anybody can do it. In my house, I do it because I normally get up early to study and everything, right? So what I do, I keep the pot near to the tap. So when I just wake up, what I do before even brushing the teeth, I rinse that pot with the water, fill it with the water, and put it on the stove. And by the time I finish my teeth cleaning, I'll go and put some. The water is boiling. I put some really my favorite tea powder there, and bit of a couple of pinch of masala. And when it comes to boil within 1.5 second, within one and a half minute. By the time I have cream in the cup, sugar or sugar free, whatever I want to do, or even jaggery sometimes, keep the cup ready. So by the time the tea boils, I just filter it in a tea and start drinking. And this is how I make that process efficient. Now, what are the algorithm here? The algorithm here, yeah, here are the most efficient process. The most efficient process tells you to collect all raw material at one place so that you don't run around. Even your refrigerator in other room than your kitchen, you might go and run around for the milk and everything. But what I do, I normally have the process running parallelly and get the tea as early as possible. Okay, and this way I'm really enjoying the life in terms of getting maximum out of the things which are with me, rather than keep gripping whatever is not with me. Could you understand what I'm trying to say, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
And this is what they call algorithm in the most data scientist way. We are going to understand these terminology in depth. Don't worry, I'm just giving you a brush up. I'm just giving you an introduction as of now, just to understand what are the things actually make us analytics, data analysts, so that we can help this business to go from zero to hero. Well, we don't do every time, but yes, at the end of the day, business wants a quick strategies or quick decision making power out of the data they have collected. Be it nowadays, even local grocery stores like Indian store in New Jersey, they have implemented AI model. There's a big change in New Jersey of a given store. Sardarji runs that store chain. He has around, I think, 35 odd store in the New Jersey, Washington, New York area. And what he does, he normally applied AI like Netflix, and he normally distributes Indian, what you can say, groceries like a typical brand of rice, Amul ghee, this ghee, that ghee, because we Indian, we like to have that Tilda Basmati. Even I used to eat Tilda Basmati when I was in US, in Canada as well. Same thing, go with Amul ghee, Amul butter, because these are specific near and dear, to us as far as eating goes, and we feel blessed. We felt best whenever we have or we eat these things, right? And so on and so forth. So he has captured a good number of customers with this AI model, AI algorithm. Just to simplify the matter, if you are staying in New Jersey or nearby area, you might have come across this store. I have forgot the name of the store, but yes, he has strategized the kind of proactive stocking in terms of a particular festival like Diwali. Diwali is on the corner, right? So he started, importing various Haldiram sweet, various sweets like Bikaneri sweets and all those things from India, and he's stocked up with that. So whenever somebody goes to this Indian store for purchasing, and as an Indian, rather than online, we like to go to the store. I don't know, that's kind of cultural thing, I believe. Yeah. So whenever you go to that store, you'll find all these, fresh kaju katli, fresh gajar ka halwa, and all those type of stuff which are a kind of festive for us, and we try to procure. It might be in a smaller quantity or bigger quantity. It starts with smaller, and if you like, and there's nothing to not to like, so you purchase again and again. So this, Diwali comes to Christmas, comes to New Year, and we keep eating these good sweets which are imported from India as far as North American region goes or Canadian region. That's how the artificial intelligence helping this retail store in a big way. Believe me. And Netflix, I will call a streaming retail store. Streaming retail store in the sense they sell streamings online. Yes, you can't visit Netflix as a shop or corner, But believe me, whenever you go to that Netflix site, you will get to know which all region is watching which all movies, which all contents and all. Even Netflix triggers out the personal favorites and try to suggest which are the most watched in such scenario. So if I start watching Teen Wolf, he might suggest another Teen Wolf movie. He might suggest another shapeshifter sitcom to me. These are science fiction sitcom. You might have watched. Anybody watched Teen Wolf here or no? Of
No.
Teen
What is the T? T?
Teen
Sorry,
Wolf.
sir. Pardon me. Okay.
Yeah, it was a big famous sitcom. It was not from Netflix, but Netflix purchased that after certain airing that show on CBS, I believe. I'm not very sure about this thing, but first I think CBS aired that show in 20 25 2005 2006 and that time, and then it was purchased by Netflix. And Netflix, it's one of the most favorite sitcoms across I think eastern region, specifically for amongst teenagers. And it was really good. Means the sitcom is good, the plot is good, it's built on some shift shifter kind of mythological story. But yes, it was really famous, and that's also because of these the analysis done by the data analysis at Netflix. They've suggested these things, and Netflix tried, and they've really increased their user base among teens, so that all these mobile based streaming is now captured by Netflix in the college going crowd among the eastern seaboard. And that's how these uh, online streaming stores have built their empire by leaps and bounds. Okay, just to tell you proactively, and you don't have to prepare right now. Whenever there's an interview, there is normally question, why do you feel data analysis is a kind of is a need of the IT industry as of now? So the answer should be, we can clearly understand this thing from these two case studies predominantly. One is Walmart popsicles, and Netflix empire building, or Netflix moving into the multi-billion dollar company from a struggling company. And that's how data analysts help these two companies to move to that level. And you should be able to explain either of the case studies in few sentences. So this is really good. Okay, let me release these two video on the YouTube by today evening, and then we can go in depth of understanding how we can explain this thing, or try to write down in a script manner how you will answer this question. Okay, tell me about why do you feel data analytics is a emerging field. You can take help of these two case study and explain them in your words. So these two things are really important for from interviewing prospects also. Does that make sense to you? Anybody have any confusion? Jaya ma'am, your doubt is resolved, or do
Yes,
you have
sir.
any? Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank
It resolved. Now I got it. Thank
you.
you.
And we'll learn step by step. It's not like no, we are going to learn everything in a day, but yes, we learn it progressively. Okay, Chalo.
Okay.
Let's move
Yeah.
to the next slide. Oh, come on. Yes. Now let's try to understand what is data and what is the life cycle of data. Data we understand as a validated information stored on a computer. We'll learn the data definition in a few slides, but let's try to understand the life cycle of it. So what does data do, can do for us? Okay, so like we normally, as an analyst, we collect requirement. And as a business analyst, well, business analysts, that's what they do. They just collect requirement. As far as data analysts do, we are a kind of specified analyst to understand and make a model out of data, make a meaningful information out of that data, whatever at hand. And for that, what we do, we acquire the data, we collect the data. Rather, we try to understand which data is more relevant to the current problem. Be it something like studying which type of sitcoms or movie watched in a given region, in a given locality. Yes, Netflix does analysis based on a typical locality. Means even if comes to Midwest, we have around 6 to 7 different localities there. The way Netflix model works, like a St. Louis urban area, St. Louis suburban area, and St. Louis rural area. So these three different categories have different likings. If you go to St. Louis rural, They really like the religious type of mythological movie. It can be something like Teen Wolf, which is came out of a Greek mythology, but yes, they like it that way. Then, if you go to St. Louis, suburban area, they might like something like Friends, something like a light sitcom, which is more towards comedy and a family-oriented comedy. Then, if you go to St. Louis urban area, where the city and the most dense population settle down, they mostly like the political drama, like the West Wing, like the House of Cards, as the mentor have explained to you. So this way we try to understand which data is relevant to the problem, and then we acquire the data in terms of how to collect the data and store at our own local storage to analyze it further. Because every time you're not going to go to the place where to retrieve data, and also what you do, you normally buffer the data at your convenient location, and then start processing, start cleaning the data in terms of getting the data whatever required and what not is required depending upon the problem. And here we try to understand the problem in depth with the availability of data, and then we go on trying to understand the objectives. So objectives can be like Netflix. I want to check out which is the type of sitcoms is really liked by this crowd, whatever I'm considering as in a region, locality like urban and all those things. And we try to come up with the objective saying, okay, let's try to understand which are a really sellable product for a given region. Now, yes, I'm talking about mostly retail type customer, be it something like a university or a educational type of organizations like St. Louis University of Washington at St. Louis. This St. Louis is famous for their chemical department, which is one of the most topmost chemical departments for education around the globe. And there they have different streams of doing bachelor's in chemistry. There are different streams for doing master's in chemistry and doctorate of chemistry. So in these three streams, they might find out which is the most preferable stream in terms of research and development. In terms of bachelor's, research and development normally relates to the PhD students. In terms of bachelor, you might like mineral chemistry, industrial chemistry, and there are dime a dozen such branches available at University of St. Louis, Washington, which is based out of St. Louis, and this is one of the most profit-making universities. So what they do, they normally study the students which apply to them, which type of students want to learn these thing, that thing, and then they try to build that practice in more way with more professors, with more classes going on round the clock. Round the clock in the sense mostly working hours, and nowadays good number of classes are online, unless and until you want to do some practical, you want to do some chemical analysis in the lab or something, you can attend these classes from your comfort of your house, and those classes are also recorded. So this is how they identified the central objective and try to work around their strategy, their marketing strategy, their adapted strategy in terms of the execution of the business. And believe me, in North American region and Canadian region, all these universities are highly professional universities or highly professional organization, if you want to look at that way. They know, they try to understand what you want, and they try to supply you with that, and they try to create a really good beneficial customer. And then we normally, as in data analysis, after understanding the central objective, the next step is understanding variables that need to be predicted. Now here we are working on something called trend analysis. And as we discussed in our last session also, trend analysis is the most common analysis we do in terms of data analyst. There are around 6, 7 or 10, 10, 15 different analytics strategy. Out of those, trend analysis is the most executed strategy, most executed pattern, or most executed algorithm along the way. And with these objectives in mind, we start exploring the data after cleaning. So data processing, I'll clean the data, I'll restructure data for my exploration. And then I build a model along this predictive thought process. So predictive thought process is like, in terms of University of St. Louis at University of Washington at St. Louis, we try to understand which type of programs are more favored at a bachelor level, at a master's level, or at a doctorate level. And here what we are trying to do, we are trying to give them more choices here and there, so that if one is trying to understand more of a core elements chemistry, well, there are different type of branch. I'm not a chemistry person, but still that case study is also famous on a Google. You can search for this case study and you'll understand in depth what I'm talking about. So they started more and more program in chemistry, and they have closed quite a good number of programs in physics, in biotechnology, and so on and so forth. Well, right now biotechnology is also a hot favorite, but not in the University of Washington at St. Louis, but that university is famous for chemical type of bachelor's, chemical type of R&D or PhD level projects, PhD level enthusiasts. So they start spanning these new courses align with a support of these students. Similarly, as we understood the Netflix case study or the Walmart case study. In the Walmart case study, obstacle was the starting flagship element which turned around Walmart business. In terms of Netflix, all these sitcoms like House of Cards, West Wing are now famous in terms of for a given region, how to capture these various customers. This way they have modeled their data after exploring, so that whatever you want, we are ready to serve you in terms of retail customer. And this way we build a good deployment model. What is deployment? You create a solution and you deploy. You build a product and you start selling it in the market on the shelf. Like this, you normally understand you normally build a life cycle of the particular data within your data creation, data acquisition, data processing, data exploration, modeling, and deployment. So these 6 steps basically makes a complete data model, which will let us build some good amount of solutions. Now I know this is a kind of bit of too much theory for you. To understand this in detail, we are going to do some hands-on practice as well, right? So we're going to start understanding in terms of Excel, how Excel is going to help us out in terms of achieving these data modeling in terms of how to collect data, how to acquire data, how to process data, and how to do data exploration and the modeling and the deployment of it. So Excel will be our basic tools. Okay. Now, just to give you a heads up, I normally use Excel. Let me open my Excel for you. Let me share these. Oh, sorry. Let me share this Excel to you. Okay. Have you worked on this Excel? Anybody who haven't worked on Excel as of now? Where do you find the version of this? I think I'm using version 13, but let me open a blank Excel sheet and I'll go to file help, I believe. File help, I don't know, file account. Yes, okay, I'm using 2013. So you can use any Excel above and beyond 2010, okay? And that's Excel will be sufficient for us. Are you, could you understand me?
Yes, sir, I got it.
For data analytics, Excel is the main tool we are going to use. We are also going to use Open Office Sheet. If you don't have Excel, I would suggest you to download LibreOffice, Libre. Let me show the website to you so that you can understand. Libre, LibreOffice. Okay. I'm not sure this happening, right? So let me share these things. Where is that? Come on. Yes. Could you see LibreOffice on my screen?
Yes, yes, we are
Yeah,
seeing.
I'll go here. This is the website where we have an Excel sheet called Fun Project, Fantastic People, Plots. It's bundled with a single office. So let me go to Discover. Let's try to understand. Yeah, LibreOffice Calculator is our spreadsheet here. Okay, it's more or less like Excel and it's free of cost. Okay, so they tell you how to use this LibreOffice in terms of how we can use these Excel free of cost rather than purchasing Excel for just to learn Excel. Okay, so you can use similar commands like Excel in LibreOffice. Okay, let me get back to you. Here we are trying to understand how Excel work for us. Could you see these various paste, cut, copy, font selection, the text alignment, the text attributes, and all these things? This is what we call menu bar. Okay, just to understand, this is the title. So whatever document you view will come down here, and this is basically a menu selection. This is a menu selection bar, and this is a menu bar. And then we have this Excel sheet. Excel is basically called as a spreadsheet. Spreadsheet in the sense the data elements are spread over the rows and columns. The rows are basically normally referred as attributes or a properties, and the columns are referred as a record. So when I type Ravindra Pandey 51 LYST data analyst. Okay, I've just typed something here, and now this becomes a record. Now this record I can do it I can centralize it. I can change the alignment. I can do a wrap text, merge text. I can change the color. I can change the background. I can do it underline. I can do it italics. I can do it bold, and all these things you can do within the Excel. This is what we call a record, and one element is called data. So this column can be labeled as surname. This can be labeled as name, and this can be labeled as what you can say occupation. Pardon me for my English spelling. Let me check out. The English spelling can be checked by pressing F7 on the top. Okay, spell check complete. So thank God I have typed every word correctly. And these are all facilities available in the Excel sheet. Now we need to really keep in mind what is an attribute or a property and what is a record. What is a record in terms of what is a meaningful data element. Okay, so record is like trying to explain Ravindra Pandey, age 51, occupation data analyst. And this way we can make a meaningful inference out of the given data. Now if the age is not required, I'll just select or I'll click on C. You can see the down going arrow there. If you click on this and try to right click, and you can delete the column. If you feel you have done something wrong, you can just press Ctrl Z and the last item get reversed. Okay, or you can call it undo. Normally most of the people call that undo. So like this we're going to learn Excel in a step-by-step manner, and we are going to understand how to collect data, how to build these things in a step-by-step manner. Okay, there are a good number of tutorials available on Excel. If you want to, let me know via WhatsApp, and I'll share the link with you. Okay, and try to go through this Excel, try to understand these attributes, properties, record. The intersection of a row and a column, a record and an attribute is a data, is a cell. So 51 is my data element, a data entity, or a single data or singular data. Could you understand what I'm trying to say? These names or these technical revolutions are really necessary for a data analyst. When somebody talk about attributes, properties, they are talking about columns. When somebody talk about record or a relevant data entities, these are what we call rows. Rows in the sense 1, 2, 3, 4, these are labeled rows, and ABCDs are basically columns. Could you understand the difference between row and column and how they are labeled in a real business world? Anybody have any confusion here?
No.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
sir.
This is really need to understand or need to revise in terms of whenever we talk about properties, it's a column. Whenever somebody talk about record, it's a row we are talking about for a given spreadsheet. This can be something like Excel, this can be something like LibreOffice, which is a free of cost. And almost all the functionality in Excel works there as well. Now there's something called table, right? We have heard of table. Let's try to understand and draw a table in an Excel sheet. So this is a kind of data. Whenever it comes to a table, we have to mark the rows and columns. So how do you do it? You select the number of rows and column, and you go here and you are mark the borders. So markings are normally done by the borders. So when I say something like this is a table, and the headers are normally marked with a kind of broader, thick border. So when the border is thick, could you see the difference between this border and that border? Or let me magnify it a bit. Yeah. Could you see the thickness of the border here? Let me do it for this time. And I can give different colors as well. So let me choose the border color. How do you, okay. I can choose the border color like this. Is it change or not? Oh, come on. Okay, I need to do it this way. Let me check out. Line color, I'll choose this color. I'll change this color. Please. Let me check out the color at blue. I know it's not, what I'm trying to show here is really a clear visible change of color. Yeah, now see, you can see the border color have changed to yellow. This is a red, and that's a normal thick border and the normal border. This way we normally differentiate the column and the label of the rows as well. The other way to do it, let me come here. Let me try to select. Let me okay. Now I am select again this thing, and then I'll insert some background color to this. So this or whatever color you like, and then something over here as well, and here I'll add a different color. I'll add the color like this, or no, let's say this color. So this is my table. That's my header record or a name of attributes, and this is the record numbers or record label if you have different from a number. This way I build my table in Excel. So whenever we talk about create a table in Excel, this is what everything is a table in Excel. But to mark it specifically, you normally apply the borders to it. That's why this table is different from the record here. Now I can cut, copy, paste the record. Is as simple as selecting this thing, right click, copy or cut the way you want it, and I'll paste it here. There are a good number of options available here. Paste it, paste special, just paste the values, formulas, and blah blah thing. I'll paste that values only. So this is how it's pasted. They have not taken the background color or the foreground color here. Now I can just adjust the column by moving my mouse across. I know these are simple thing to learn, but yes, we need to revise this thing because we're going to use this thing wherever you normally handle the data. And in this data lifecycle processes, we need to understand how we can cope up with this tool, and we need to understand the basics of this tools. Okay, anybody have any confusion as of now in terms of working on an Excel or a spreadsheet?
No, sir, but I have a question that is, what is the roadmap for a data analyst? Because I don't know. One day we are working with the Excel, or I don't have any idea what we are going to study for the data analyst. So could you please give me what are the technologies we are going to use?
Sure, sure. Really great question. And if you have seen introduction, video, there I have mentioned, like we normally start with Excel. We try to, build some good data analytics techniques with Excel. Then we might spend, one or two sessions in terms of trying to learn Tableau, trying to learn other different data analysis tool sets, which are kind of product. Excel is a product as far as software goes. Tableau is another product. Statistical analysis is another product. It's normally called as a SAS. Okay, now SAS and SQL, these are program based tools, but still the base tool, if you can understand it with Excel, you can use any other tool in the world. Only thing, you need to spend some time understanding where are the buttons, how do you sort the data, how do you index the data, how do you rearrange the data as per your need. And that's what we're going to understand as a data analyst. That's all to it. Don't confuse yourself with too many tools name or those things, because people are mostly confused in as far as data analyst goes. Mostly the enthusiasts, they think data analysis is like data scientist. No, data analysis is basically a kind of starting preparatory work for data scientists. Data scientists are very senior people, mostly in the vicinity of age of 45 plus. They might have done bachelor's, PhDs, doctorates, and all those things, because those are scientists. We are not scientists, we are analysts. Like business analyst, data analyst is also a kind of fresh career start job, where you just start to understand start to understand data, the types of data, the cleaning and aligning the process of data for a given business problem. So it's like, whenever you start working as a data analyst, the boss comes to you and saying, "Hey Ravindra, could you please have a look at this Excel sheet which has around 500 records of our employee. Now what I want to find out is which the most absent employee for the given year. Could you find out from my Excel which is the most which is the person who have maximum leaves this year? From an Excel, we're going to learn this thing, how to find these things in the click of mouse, not going through the complete Excel sheet. So we're going to understand how to rearrange the data, how to filter a data, apply some chart, graphs, pivot tables, and so on and so forth, to get the data what we have required. And we are going to do a hands-on experience on that, hands-on workshop and that, so that you can do it by yourself. Right now, this is the kind of first step of learning the best used tool as a data analysis. Okay, so step by step we will grow in terms of learning these data analysis tools and techniques. We might learn 4 5 tools during this session, but believe me, if you know Excel, you can work with all these tools. Only you need to spend couple of hours in understanding how these things are getting executed, how these things are getting arrange rearrange in terms of building the business solution strategies for a given problem. Does that make sense to you, ma'am?
Yes, sir. I got it.
Have I
And
answered?
yeah, you answered it. So then we don't need to worry about that sequels, right?
No, ma'am, don't worry. And SQL is not necessarily. Okay,
Okay.
there are data analysis which are basically require SQL as a requirement of their job, and they'll make it so. If you know SQL, SQL is not difficult, believe me. And SQL is like a big ocean. When you talk about programming, these are really big, learning way. And believe me, if you want to work on SQL, then you mostly don't work with Tableau and other software. So that's why there's a demand of data analyst which can basically work with simple tool like Excel. And if they need some specific data analysis, they might float similar JD at that time. And if you want to apply for SQL, let me tell you, I'll be with you if you want to learn SQL at the time of even your interview, and I'll guide you within couple of hours. You can learn SQL, at least the basic SQL of it. Okay, uh, so don't worry on such scenario, just concentrate on learning right now about Excel. And if you can, please do practice on creating a table, creating a few records on your Excel. You can start with creating your own expense report to start with. And believe me, I'm going to teach you how to understand trend analysis. With the expense report, we're going to understand how we can control your house expense, which is near and dear to everybody of us, right? How to control my expense as a personal expense, what I have spent in my last week, last month, and then try to understand the trend. How am I moving from these current data to the future data, and then try to understand, try to control certain expenses. Could you understand what I'm trying to say, ma'am?
Yes, sir. I got it.
These
Now
are
I
the
got the
practical
clear
approach.
idea.
These are the practical approach. We will start learning slowly, steadily. Okay, and I would request you not to get confused, not to jump the bandwagon, so that you might confuse yourself. Okay, so let's go with the flow. And yeah, you can definitely ask question. Asking question is a good thing, and never stop asking question. Just feeling like this question might be silly kind of scenario. No, no question is silly unless and until you start understanding things are in depth. Please believe me, nobody cares if you ask a light question or a hard question. Specifically, it's important you should know the things in and out. So as soon as the question comes to your mind, please do ask. Okay, so right now today we are just going to get warmed up in terms of understanding about a single tool, rather the basic or most advanced tool for a data analyst is called Microsoft Excel. Why this is the best? because it's freely available. Every computer laptop normally comes with this Microsoft Excel. Whatever version you use, please don't use any version below 2010. That's my suggestion. Again, if you have 2010, we might have to do it differently rather than the way we are doing it in a way. Okay, so don't worry. Even if you have a version which is lesser than 2010, please guide me so at that time, right? So Excel is what we're going to learn in terms of the first and the prominent tool as far as data scientist goes. Okay, let me move up to my presentation and we'll learn about the Excel in our next session in detail, where we start arranging or indexing the data one by one. Okay, let me take you what is data. Now here we understood data is the intersection of a record and an attribute. Now here data refers to the fact and a statistics collected together for a reference or analysis. This is the actual theoretical definition of a data. And whenever somebody asks you what is data, you have to basically tell them this definition as is, and we'll try to understand why they call it so. So data refers to a facts and statistics collected together for reference of an analysis. So what they're trying to do, they're trying to tell you data is a part of a record and attributes to make sure it's a meaningful reference for a given analysis or a model. And that's how data is. So data can be collected and stored. Data can be measured in terms of how many data entities per record, how many records, and so on and so forth. Data can be analyzed manually, automatically, and data can be visualized, or data can be built into good visual models like bar chart, graphs, pivot tables, and so on and so forth, so that the business can understand the data meaningfully as per to build their strategy in the most useful way needed for the business to get along more and more profit, to build some good brands as far as the company or organization goes. So this is how data is basically defined. Data is basically explained in terms of interview. So data refers to a facts and statistics collected together for reference or analysis. Is this definition clear to everybody? If not, please do ask. Is this definition clear to everybody? What is data?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, please write down this definition couple of times whenever the session is finished, so that we can remember these things. So whenever there's a question what is data, we can refer to this definition. Data refers to facts and statistics collected together for reference or analysis. So data's main intention is to basically getting referred, getting analyzed, and that's what we're going to do in terms of doing the analysis in a progressive manner, so that we can rearrange the data in a meaningful sentences, in a meaningful business required result, so that the business gets benefited out of it, and then we'll basically start understanding how this data is related, or how this data is encompassed in a record, or in an intersection of attribute and a record on a given spreadsheet or given Excel sheet. This is how we're going to learn the data in the most progressive manner. Okay, now here let me tell you, we are at a logical break. In the next session we I have another slide for the data definition. Now here another definition of a data from an engineering perspective. Okay, let's have a look at this data definition, and then we'll stop, and then we'll basically try to understand qualitative, quantitative data, and the other way to do analysis in our next session. Okay, so let's try to understand what is data from an engineering perspective now. So data are individual facts, statistics, or item of information of a numeric. Now when it comes to engineering way of understanding, they typecast each and every data of numeric, alphanumeric, or alphabets, or a mix and match thereof. Okay, so here what we are trying to do, data are individual facts, statistics, or items of information of a numeric. This is how the engineering people defines data. In more technical sense, data are the set of values of qualitative or quantitative variables about one or more persons or objects, while datum, a singular data, unique data is a single value of single variable. So when I say Ravindra, you can understand As we are social creature, Ravindra is a name of a person of a Asian descendant. Okay, this Ravindra is a kind of Sanskrit name which is used by a good number of societies, good number of regions all across India and overall South Asia. Same thing with when you talk about something like John as a singular data. John is a kind of name which has a English mythological value, and they normally this is a very common name across Europe or North America, Canada, and given regions. So this way we will basically try to understand, try to analyze data. What I'm doing when I talked about Ravindra, and I explained a couple of sentences after that. I talked about John and explained a couple of sentences about John. Now this is what we do as an analyst. We analyze, we have a look at it, and we try to find out a relative description for a given data entity. Okay, and this is what the analysis is all about. You observe, you understand, you describe the data. That's what the analysis is. Although term data and information are often used interchangeably, this item has a distinct meaning. This term has a distinct meaning. In some popular publications, data are sometimes said to be transferred into information when they are viewed in context of a post-analysis. So now what we are trying to do, we are trying to analyze the data in a context, and that's what we call post analysis. So whenever we do the analysis figure, you understand more about the data structure, the data positioning within a given record. Let me repeat. In some popular publications, in some popular data relevance data collection thought processes, data are sometimes referred to be transformed into informations when they are viewed in a context or in a post-analysis. When you talk about Ravindra, the name appears in a novel, in a storyline, then the Ravindra has a specific meaning within that storyline. Same with the John. So here what we are doing, we are explaining an entity, a singular entity, normally referred as a datum, where we are trying to find the references within a context. And this is what we call data analysis. However, in academic treatments of the subject data simply is a unit of information, units of information. Does that make sense to you? Or am I talking too much technicality? Anybody have any question for me? Anybody confused in terms of understanding data as a definition? Could you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Have you understood data?
Yes, I understood, but it's a fully the technical term.
Let me do one thing. Let's wind up at this time, and I'll share the recording as well. Please have a look at the recording. I'll also share the presentation so that you can go through these things, okay? And try to practice on Excel, try to create a sheet table, try to build some relevant data, okay? And if you have a problem, we can discuss it on our next session as well, okay? And please try to, write down these definitions, try to, practice on remembering at least one of the definition, whatever is explained here, be it technical or non-technical, doesn't matter. But you should know at least a singular definition and could be able to explain it in a couple of sentences. Because most of the interview, they ask a question, what is data? What is data analysis? Why do you feel data analysis is a need of the, R and something like that? Okay. So that's why we need to prepare ourselves for the obstacle clearance called interview. And that's how I normally talk within our sessions about specific interview questions and the probability or the statistics or how these questions are asked in the past. And that's how we normally call it a trend analysis. Whatever happened in a history is normally tends to get repeated, or like the English proverb, history repeats itself. Yeah, it's really a scientific fact whatever we understood, and that's why what we build something like trend analysis. So please take a homework of trying to jot down the expenses you have done in last week, if possible a last month, or the total month. Well, it was just 2 weeks time. So how much expense you have done in the last week and last to last week in Excel. Try to jot down serial number, the expense, the amount of expense, the item of expense, the description of expense, and so on. So if you can do it, we will basically go to a level where we'll try to understand data relevant to a record, and we'll start understanding what you mean by data analysis, or how we can basically go on implementing data analysis at a ground raw level within a simple Excel sheet. Okay, and by this way you'll understand the definition of a data in depth. You'll understand the basic tool called Excel sheet as a data analysis tool, and the way we basically start learning our data analysis with your own experiences. Okay, rather than me guiding you, you as a person, you as an artist have your own way of learning things, right? Only you need to do a push of practice, and this is what we do in terms of practice or hands-on workshops, hands-on experience. So the more you practice, the more experience you will get, or the more learnings you will achieve in a shortest possible span. While hearing, we might lose our 70% of knowledge you gain, but if you practice, you can acquire almost 95 plus percentage of knowledge if you do a hands-on practice, or if you try to write down certain things whenever we are doing these exercises, whenever we are doing these discussions in terms of learning new technology. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, sir. I
Okay,
got it. Yeah.
please do try these things, and let's meet the day after tomorrow again, discussing or taking a step further on learning data analytics. Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot for your time. Have a good night.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Good night.